Maido Japan fans. In today's show, we're going to talk about a different angle on storytelling when presenting. Present Master Shimashou. This is the fourth year of the Presentations Japan series podcast, and we are beaming around the world to you from sunny Minato-ku here in Tokyo. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, your corporate coaching and training guy, committed to your success, the president of Dale Carnegie Training Japan and best-selling author, Japan Sales Mastery and Japan Business Mastery. My new book, Japan Presentations Mastery, will be released shortly. Through this podcast, I want to help you become a better speaker who is clear, confident, persuasive, and highly influential with those around you. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, and colleagues. We are not being sponsored by Libsyn, but we value your privacy, which is why we have our podcast hosted by Libsyn, who, unlike many other podcast hosts, have a strict policy that does not allow access to your private information by anyone. Here is our daily podcast lineup on iTunes. Mondays, the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. Tuesdays, the Presentations Japan series. Every second Tuesday, the Business Tatsujin no Oshie Show. Wednesdays, the Sales Japan series. Thursdays, the Leadership Japan series. Every second Thursday, the Business Pro Podcast Show. Fridays, the Japan Business Mastery Show. And Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews. Now, this is episode number 230, and today we are talking about when using storytelling in business, don't lead with your insights. When I read this quote from Nobel Laureate Herbert Simon from 1971, that a wealth of information would create a poverty of attention, I thought about its ramifications for presenters. Today, we are firmly swimming against the king tide of information overload. So, Simon's dystopian prophecy has come to fruition. This is the age of distraction for audiences. They are gold medal winning poor listeners, and yet we have to present to them. We know that storytelling is one surefire way to snaffle their attention, and yet that path is littered with landmines. Very few business presenters tell stories at all in their talks. They're enamored with their high-quality content, which usually means the results of surveys, research, or data collation. Data is rarely strong enough to linger long in our memories. This is because usually there is a ton of data. Each morsel, each 3-decimal tidbit, vanquishing the one before, and so on, until we recall nothing, as Simon predicted. Business presenters, imagining their data is enough, are fooling themselves because their messages are not breaking through that wall of distraction and that poverty of attention. For the few who do tell stories, they are freelancing, going freestyle with no structure. They just relate what happened. What is the point of the story? Is the delivery getting the key messages in front of the audience in a way that they'll remember? Are the listeners seeing any relevance for themselves in the story? Where do we start with the story? Do we get straight to the point? Do we go to the key takeaway? Hey, get to the point. We often hear this from bosses, and we mistakenly follow that direction with our storytelling. Why is it a mistake? We have to grasp the fundamental difference between writing a report, where we start with the conclusion we have reached from our analysis, otherwise known as the executive summary, and giving an oral presentation. When we launch forth with our recommendation, we open up the floodgates of rampant critique. Many who are listening start thinking that we are wrong, have misfired with our analytical findings, and have failed to account for important alternate considerations. Why do they react like that? We've put forth our main point completely naked and unprotected, so that is all they have to go on. In the sequence, our explanation of how we came to this conclusion follows next. Critically, the critics are not really listening now because they are consumed by what they think is wrong with it, so the justification portion gets lost for them. Find out more when we come back from the break. Our show today is brought to you by our public programs, but we also do custom-made in-house classes. Now, we do them in our super safe classroom, we do them live online, and we do them in Japanese, and we do them in English. Now, today's show is sponsored by 3 programs. On April 9th, in our professional leadership series, we're looking at innovation. On May the 12th, we're looking at cross and upselling. And also in our professional leadership series on May the 14th, we're looking at leading and managing. What's different? You can find out more about those programs on our website at enjapan.dalecarnegie.com. And you can email me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. Get my best-selling books, Japan Sales Mastery, that's the Bible for selling in Japan, and Japan Business Mastery, and my new book, Japan Presentations Mastery. If you like learning by watching videos, we have over 1,000 for you there on Japan Dale Carnegie TV on YouTube. We release 3 TV shows every week on YouTube. The Cutting Edge Japan Business Show, which is the premier business show in Japan, comes out Mondays. Fridays, the Japan Business Mastery Show, and Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews where I interview leaders in Japan from SMEs all the way up to the corporate captains of industry on one topic, leading in Japan. Every second Thursday, we release the Business Pro Television Show. Don't forget, you can email me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. Welcome back. We should instead begin with our context, the background, which has informed our conclusion based on the data and experiences we analysed. We need to populate this context with people they know, places they can see in their mind's eye, and lodge it in a temporal frame which the audience can process. The genius of this approach is while sitting there listening to us warble on, the audience are racing ahead and reaching their own conclusions about the insights to be gained from this context. Given a certain set of circumstances, there are a limited number of conclusions to be drawn, and the chances are very high that they will have reached the same one you did. When you announce it, the listeners mentally say to themselves, "That's right. Bingo!" Now, instead of facing an audience of doubters, one-uppers, and thrusters, you are dealing with fans of your work. The key is to make the insight download very concise. When we teach this formula, invariably, people want to jumble a number of insights together and run through them. Each additional insight dilutes the power of the one before it, and so on. It is critical to select the strongest, best insight and only pull the velvet curtain back to reveal that one. The final step is to take the context and the insight and then package it up and place it on a silver tray for the audience to take home with them when we outline the relevance to them. Although we have produced an insight, it is an inert outcome. What does that insight do for us? How can we use it? Where will this be valuable for us? When can we apply it? When we receive the insight wisdom and that relevancy formula attached, it makes sense. We feel attending the speaker's presentation today was time well spent. We got something worthwhile, which will help us navigate the future that little bit better and more easily. Again, this has to be done very concisely, for the same reasons discussed about explaining the insight. So, the formula is context, insight, and then explain the relevance. If we mix it up, we are making things hard for ourselves. So, resist any calls to get to the point by being forced to put up the insight like a sacrificial lamb about to be slaughtered. Hold it in reserve until the scene has been set. Sherlock Holmes and Poirot, great fictional detectives, always reveal the baddie's name after giving the background of the crime. It is a well-tested, tried and true formula for storytelling, so try it. Thank you for joining the Presentations Japan series. If you got value from today's show, spread the love around and share it with your family, friends, and colleagues. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast. Immediately apply what you have learned today, use it, and go out there and become a presentations legend. Remember, I'm your corporate coaching and training guy in your corner, committed to your success here in Nippon.